What's up, guys? We are back with a full NBA slate here on Thursday, October 24th. We're going to break down every game and look at bets on the side and over-under, and we're going to look at a whole bunch of player props and also look at this Monday Night Football game between the Vikings and the Rams. And we've got some player props over there, so buckle up. We have a great video for you tonight. If you want to win all of your bets today, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate the support from all of you. Seeing that badge next to your comments really keeps me motivated to bring you the best information possible. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering NFL, NBA, NCAA football, UFC, NHL, and MLB. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into game one. We have the Boston Celtics going on the road to take on the Washington Wizards. The Celtics got their season off to a very good start there on opening night with a dominant win over the New York Knicks. They absolutely shot the lights out in that game. We saw big stuff there from Boston up and down the lineup. We saw great stuff there from Tatum and Brown. Tatum went nuts, 8 of 11 from 3, 14 of 18 from the field overall, a plus 26 there in the plus minus, and 37 points to lead the team in scoring. So elite stuff there. We saw Jrue Holiday do his thing, shooting the ball extremely well. Also, the Celtics guys, they made 29 three-pointers in the game, shooting nearly 50% from 3 on an insane amount of attempts. If this team is going to shoot the ball even close to that well this season, they are going to have a transcendently good year. So obviously expecting them to cool off a little bit, but we loved what we saw from this team. Honestly, everybody looked good. Peyton Pritchard had a rough night shooting the ball, but he, still posted a +7 out there and did a good job running the offense. 4 assists and only a single turnover coming off the bench. So very good stuff up and down the roster here for the Boston Celtics. So expecting continued good things from them, generally speaking. I mean, no reason to think all of a sudden this is going to turn off because it feels like Tatum and Brown are very motivated. Obviously, Tatum coming off of all that Olympics drama where he was basically, snubbed. They had him sitting, playing very limited minutes, and he played terrible, like in, the coaches and the whole program's defense. Like, he was not playing well when given opportunities. So yeah, he's got to be very motivated from that. A lot of shade thrown at him after coming off winning a championship. All of a sudden, no longer being respected. And then, guys, we had Jaylen Brown getting snubbed from the Olympics team, possibly over shoe drama, possibly over who knows what. But that had to really motivate him as well. Both those guys came out with a vengeance in game one against the Knicks and absolutely went nuts. So here going up against the Washington Wizards, definitely going to be expecting big things from them because Washington, not a team that we're super high on coming into this season, guys. I mean, still running out there with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma as their best 2 players. They brought in Alex Sarr there through the draft, so we'll see how that works out. Bringing in Malcolm Brogdon, he's injured, so we don't know when he's going to even be playing, but yeah, can we have a bounce back season here for Jordan Poole? That honestly seems like kind of a big ask to me. Although I hope it happens for him. Very depressing to see what happened to him. That fall off from the whole Draymond drama, then going, getting shipped off to Washington to just languish out there. And yeah, didn't have the breakout season that many were projecting for him to have there in Washington. So we'll see if he can adjust a little bit to this new situation. We'll see how that goes. But overall, guys, things looking pretty bleak right now for the Washington Wizards. I mean, Kyle Kuzma is telling people not to talk about him. They're going to talk about you, bud, until you start doing something positive. There's been, plenty of trade rumors about the Wizards, who are clearly still a team in rebuild mode. So we'll see how that goes. Not a team with a ton of depth either. I have plenty of questions here. I mean, they've got some interesting young pieces. I do think guys like Patrick Baldwin Jr. could mature into something, solid. Maybe Corey Kispert here could, turn into something. But right now, not a lot of reason to be expecting a ton of success here for the Washington Wizards. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Wizards, they're getting 13.5 points playing at home. We've got an over-under out there of 234.5. Guys, in general in this game, in terms of the side, I'm going to be leaning a little bit towards the Celtics here to win this game comfortably. It's a bit of a big ask after such an insane night, just shooting shooting the lights out, but I just think the skill difference, the talent difference between these two teams is so stark that I just don't see any way that Washington's going to keep this game close. I'll be worried about some sort of backdoor cover, but I'm not even that worried about that, guys, because Boston is a deep team. Whenever they do eventually clear the bench, I don't really see Washington making a big dent in that number. So generally speaking, I'm leaning towards the Celtics here to win and cover in this game with an over-under of 234.5. I'm not in love with that number. I would probably tend to lean a little bit towards the under because I think Boston is going to regress a little bit to some sort of normal shooting clip, and I don't think the Wizards are going to have a good time scoring against so many good defenders there for Boston. So give me maybe a slight taste of the under in this one as well. In terms of some player props for this game, guys, first up, I'm looking at Jaylen Brown over 2.5 3-pointers made at plus 115. That's a pretty good price out there. He obviously shot the lights out there in game one, just like the rest of the Celtics did. He went 5 of 9 from deep, and I think we'll see similar shooting from him if he shoots 9 or 10 threes in this game, which that's what Boston wants to do, guys. The idea of him making 3 of them seems pretty reasonable, and at plus 115, that's a very nice price. And guys, I also like Peyton Pritchard here to have a bounce back game. The poor guy couldn't throw it in the ocean in game one, but I like him over 12.5 points and assists in this game at minus 105. That seems very reasonable. I think there's a great chance this ends up being a blowout game, which will equal more points there from Pritchard. He'll be out there running the offense. He'll get some assists. He's going to put up some shots. He's going to make some of them tonight, guys. I have plenty of faith. No good defenders there for the Wizards, if you ask me. So I think Pritchard in for a solid bounce back in this game. And on the other side, guys, I'm not really expecting any miracles out there from Jordan Poole. I'm going to take him under 26.5 points plus assists. I don't think we're going to see a ton of assists for him or really for the Wizards in general, to be honest. And I don't think he's going to have a very good night shooting the ball. Nobody's going to have a very good night playing against this Boston Celtics defense. They're ultra elite. 4 or 5 elite level perimeter defenders out there for the Celtics. So yeah, Jordan Poole, I'm expecting him to have a rough night, and I'm also expecting Kuzma to struggle. I like Kyle Kuzma under 25.5 points plus rebounds here at minus 105. It's a very appealing price. Kuzma not going to be in there banging with the Celtics, who have tons of guys that love to crash the boards. I am a little bit maybe worried about him getting a few extra rebounds just because the Celtics probably not going to be super duper locked in against a team they can just like walk over here. So we'll see how that goes, but I do think Kuzma is probably going to struggle out there on the offensive end for basically the same reasons that I think Jordan Poole is going to struggle. And last but not least, guys, we are hopping back over to Jordan Poole. I like him over 2.5 turnovers in this game at minus 150. He's been a very turnover-prone player even since back in his time with the Warriors, and going up against a intense defense there from the Boston Celtics, I think he's going to have a rough time. I think he'll have a pass or two get picked off. I think Giroux will rip him once or twice. Derek White could rip him. Like Jordan Poole, a loose handle for sure. I don't think he's going to have a very good time in this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at our first TNT game of the night. We've got the San Antonio Spurs going on the road to take on the Dallas Mavericks. The Spurs come into this game, guys, and into this season riding very high with very, I'm not going to say high expectations necessarily, but interesting expectations. Adding Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes into this lineup is going to make a world of difference there. Wembanyama looked like a monster last season. He looked like a monster in the Olympics. I'm expecting a huge step forward from him. Having Chris Paul out there to run the offense like an actual adult, a real point guard, and historically one of the best point guards in the NBA, I'm expecting him to find Wembanyama in all those good spots. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, honestly, because Chris Paul and no one in the history of human basketball playing has had someone to pass the ball to like Wembanyama. The spots that he can catch it and finish are absolutely out of this world. Incredible stuff. So I'm expecting that connection to look great. We do see here that Devin Vassell is going to be missing this game, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but Harrison Barnes, in there is going to be great. Gives him a knockdown shooter. I think we'll see Chris Paul find him whenever he's open, and he's a guy that can crash the boards a little bit. He's just a veteran, like the consummate professional veteran basketball player. So I'm expecting good stuff from Harrison Barnes. I think that is an underrated addition here that the Spurs made. Jeremy Sohan going to be back at his normal position there at the 4, so no longer do we have to watch Sohan pass up on giving the ball to Wembanyama. That was tough to watch, guys. I watched one of those games in person at Oklahoma City, and it was just crazy to see all the missed opportunities where they could have got the ball to Wembanyama, and it just didn't happen. So, yeah, last but not least, guys, got to take a look here at Wembanyama, coming off of a very good performance there in the Olympics, coming off a very good, especially second half of the season last year. I'm expecting him to be even better this year. He's going to be an absolute menace out there on defense. His offense continues to get better and better. I think his three-point shooting is going to improve, and I think just all around this is the most insane, prospect, insane physical talent that we've ever seen in the NBA, and maybe ever seen in the sport of basketball, guys. This dude can absolutely do it all. Seeing him in person was nuts. You cannot imagine how much bigger, not necessarily bigger, but how much taller and longer this guy is than everyone else out there. As long as he can stay healthy, I'm expecting him to be the best player in the NBA within the next couple of seasons, because it is absolutely crazy the things that he can do on the basketball court and the way he moves. It seems like there's a good chance he does stay healthy. So we'll see how things go here for the Spurs right out of the gate. This isn't a team that has a massive amount of depth, but there's some pieces like Keldon Johnson coming off the bench, fine. Zach Collins, not obviously a guy that I'm in love with, but overall, I think depth could be a bit of a problem, but I'm expecting this team to take a big step forward after what they did last season, and we'll see what they can do here going up against the Dallas Mavericks, who obviously had a very successful campaign last year. They are not quite exactly running it back either, guys. I mean, we've obviously got Luka still at the helm. We'll see what kind of Luka we get at the beginning of the season. Usually this is a guy that takes a little bit of time to work himself into shape. We'll see if Luka is, coming into the season locked in and ready to go from the start. I find that a little bit unlikely, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. It's not impossible. We'll also see what we get from Kyrie Irving here in the early portions of the season. Kyrie in the playoffs, Kyrie late in the year, usually a slightly different animal than Kyrie, early in the season, especially at this point in his career. Don't really blame the guy too much, but that's definitely something we want to be taking into consideration here in the early goings. And they have a very important new teammate to work into the mix, guys. The Mavs went out, picked up Klay Thompson there as a free agent. Very sad to see him leaving the Warriors, but hey, all good things eventually do come to an end, guys. So we'll see how Klay Thompson fits in here. Obviously, it's got to be, seems like it'd be a good spot to have Klay Thompson out there spotting up with guys like Luka and Kyrie to feed him the ball and get him the ball in great spots. Could be a little bit of a renaissance here for Klay. I do think that's certainly possible. Obviously, early on with a new team, a lot of moving parts here. They've got to figure out how to integrate Klay into this offense, but I'm generally speaking thinking he is going to have a pretty decent time out there. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, obviously very key play pieces for them last season. This team found a ton of success. It'll be interesting to see if they can find similar success right off the bat here this season with moving Klay in. Seems like he'd be kind of a plug and play dude out there. I don't think, he doesn't have to do too much. Find some open court, catch the ball, knock down that shot. So I think this could work out pretty well. And when you're a team that's bringing a guy like Derek Lively off the bench, that's got to feel good. Jaden Hardy as the backup point guard, okay, I'm fine with that. Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the pine, like Najee Marshall. This is going to be a very good team. They're going to be better, in my opinion, than they were last season. Will that be in evidence here right off the bat in game one of the season? We'll have to wait and see. I think that's still a little bit up in the air, guys. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Mavs are 7.5-point favorites playing at home here on opening night. We've got an over-under of 229.5. Guys, generally speaking in this game, and it feels a little bit close, but I think the value in this one is the San Antonio Spurs and the points. There's nobody on the Mavs that can guard Wembanyama. There's nobody in the NBA, it feels like, right now that can guard Wembanyama. So he's going to be able to score out there. Chris Paul running the offense is going to make things look a lot better for everybody, not just Wemby. Harrison Barnes out there knocking down some shots. I think we see the Spurs keep this game pretty competitive. And in terms of the over-under out there, guys, of 229.5, I'm leaning just a little bit here towards the under. I think we're going to see teams be a little bit sloppy in the early goings. I don't think we're going to see crazy point totals. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition here, guys, but I do think maybe just a little bit of a lean here towards the under. In terms of some player props for this game, guys, I've just got a couple here that I think are reasonable. First up, I like Chris Paul over 18.5 points plus assists. I do think they're going to need him to score a little bit on this team. Will he embrace that role as needing to shoot a little bit more, and how will the shot look? We'll see. That's obviously very up in the air here to start the season, but I do think we're going to see him average a ton of assists here. So taking him over 18.5 points plus assists seems pretty reasonable, and at minus 110, not too bad of a price. And guys, on the other side, I've got an under here on Klay Thompson, under 19.5 points plus rebounds at -105. Klay, not much of a rebounder, so I'm not too worried about that. And I do think there's a decent chance we see him struggle here a little bit in the early going as he, attempts to find his way in a new offense with a new team, finding new spots, finding other guys in new spots, and just in general, I think things could get off to a little bit of a rough start here for Klay, who I think will eventually find success here in Dallas. I just don't really see it happening here on opening night. So that's what I've got for the Spurs and Mavericks, guys. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering NFL, NCAA football, NBA, NHL, UFC, and Major League Baseball. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get you the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NFL and NCAA football videos. Also, if you want to experience peer-to-peer sports betting while paying almost zero juice, click the link in the description and sign up at betopenly.com. Now guys, back to the games. Let's go ahead and move on to the Oklahoma City Thunder going on the road to take on the Denver Nuggets. That is our other TNT game of the night, guys. The Thunder come into this season with very, very high expectations. They're pretty much expected to be, maybe the top seed in the West this year, and they're a little bit banged up coming into the season, guys. We see Jalen Williams. He is going to be out for this game, so that is unfortunate, guys. And we're talking about Jalen Williams, not J-Dub. So him being out with a hamstring injury isn't ideal. That knocks down the depth for this team a little bit. And yeah, other than that, guys, I mean, obviously Hartenstein being injured is not a great look with that broken hand. We don't know exactly when he's going to be back. So we could have some depth problems there at, center. And this is not the matchup you want to have depth problems at center, guys. So we'll see how that goes. SGA going to be an MVP candidate this season. Absolutely no doubt about that. In my mind, I think he's in for another elite level season. He's got a lot better talent around him this year, guys. Adding in Alex Caruso, definitely going to help there. Having him at shooting guard, a lockdown defender who can knock down some shots. I think he's an undervalued shooter. He hasn't been in a lot of situations where they've needed him to shoot, and here I do think they're going to need him to take some shots. And would you rather have Alex Caruso taking an open three or Luke Quinn's Dort? I think I would rather have Caruso. Now, in terms of a defender, especially defending against size, give me Dort. Watched him put people in the torture chamber. Absolutely amazing stuff out there. So love to see him in the starting lineup. And J-Dub out there, guys, had a little bit of a rough time in the playoffs. Definitely, something to be slightly concerned about, but don't think we're going to overreact. I think he's going to be fine out there. He has dealt with a little bit of an ankle issue in the preseason and stuff like that, but I think he's going to be ready to go. He comes into this game with no injury designation until proven otherwise. We are going to trust that he is fully healthy. So I'm expecting good stuff out there from him for sure. He's been a monster over the last, little while, and I don't think that's going to change this season. I'm expecting him to come in guns blazing. And last but not least, guys, we got Chet Holmgren, who's going to have his hands full out there trying to guard Jokic. That's going to be a tough matchup for him, but I do expect him to score some points out there. He's coming off of a very successful campaign last year, got another year of experience, had another offseason to, put on some bulk, put on some muscle, and just, continue to develop his very elite level game. This Thunder team is going to be amazing to watch, and a big part of that is going to be the continued maturation here of Chet Holmgren and the continued excellence of SGA. So I'm expecting big things from this team this season. Depth is a little bit of a question mark for me right now, especially at center and especially in this matchup, but I'm not going to overreact to that too much. This is a decent bench, guys. Carson Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins coming off the bench. All those guys very, very capable. So I'm expecting good things from them up and down the lineup, guys. I think this is definitely going to be an elite level team. So we'll see what they can do in this matchup going on the road to take on the Denver Nuggets, who come into this season, guys, they've got to be a little bit disappointed with how things ended last year, and they've got some dudes out there with things to prove. A lot of people taking the, Nuggets to have a worse season. They added in Russell Westbrook. He's not, going to be a starter. He's coming off the bench here, but we have Jamal Murray, one of the most, I'm not going to say he's underrated necessarily, but the dude's catching an awful lot of flack. He did not look good there in the Olympics. He looked terrible, frankly, but it's a different game. He was a little bit banged up to finish the regular season, so then going and playing the Olympics seems a bit rough. We'll see what he can do here right out of the gate, but he looks healthy. He looks ready to go. I'm expecting big things from him right out of the gate, guys. That will be a big deal there for the Denver Nuggets. They're going to be starting Christian Brown. We'll see how that goes. I have my reservations about him. A decent defender, a decent rebounder. His shooting is a big question mark for me, and you need shooters around Jokic, and their number one shooter, it seems like the guy they most like to see shooting threes, is Michael Porter Jr. Obviously, losing KCP has not been, I don't think is a great look for this team. We'll see how that goes, but Michael Porter Jr. has a lot to prove, guys. He's somebody that could end up on the trading block for this team if anybody wants him, and yeah, he's got a big contract. Time to live up to that big contract. He's not a great defender. He's okay. He's not a great rebounder. He's okay. He's an elite level shooter at times. Now is the time to make that money or prove that you deserve that money and knock down some shots. And speaking of guys making some money, Aaron Gordon just got a new deal, so I'm sure he's pretty pumped. He's been putting up big numbers and very solid defense, all that kind of stuff. He's a big time player when the lights are the brightest in the playoffs. So Aaron Gordon, we'll see what he can do out there. I'm expecting good things from him. He gives the Nuggets a huge size advantage pretty much all the time. So that is a big, big deal. And most importantly for this team, guys, what version of Nikola Jokic are we going to get here in the early season? He's another one of those guys that tends to work his way into shape a little bit. This might be a spot where he can thrive even if he's not in the best shape. And to be honest, guys, it doesn't look too bad out there. I think Jokic is in pretty decent shape coming into this season. I think he's more upset than he would like to let on about how last season ended. So Jokic here, a great matchup for him. Nobody healthy on the Nuggets that can really slow him down. Jokic is going to be throwing Chet Holmgren around like a rag doll. It's going to be pretty crazy. We'll see how motivated we have Jokic out there on the court here in game one, but I'm expecting very big things from him in this game. The dude's got an amazing matchup. My only reservation is what kind of situation are we going to see from him in terms of how fit he is and how motivated he is here on opening night. But opening night, playing in front of the home fans, I think we'll see him look pretty good. And Russell Westbrook, somebody's going to want to come in and make an impact right away. I don't love the depth here for this Nuggets team, but Westbrook coming off the bench is a very interesting addition. Obviously, they're hoping for maturation out of guys like Peyton Watson. That could be cool. We've liked, we've seen glimpses of elite potential from him, so we'll see if that delivers. Dario Saric, I think, is a decent backup center. He gets a lot of crap, but I do think he's, a decent guy to have out there. But overall, they're going to need the starters to play really well. The bench depth for this team is something of a concern. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Thunder. They are 2.5-point underdogs here playing on the road at the Denver Nuggets. We've got a total here of 225.5. Guys, in general, in this game, I'm a little bit worried about it, but I'm leaning towards the Denver Nuggets here at -2.5. I just think this is way too good of a Nikola Jokic spot. I think we're going to see Jamal Murray way too motivated for this game. Michael Porter Jr.'s probably been hearing that he sucks all the offseason, so I do think we're going to see good stuff for the Nuggets. Hopefully Michael Porter Jr.'s, all the turmoil going on with his family is a little bit behind him. He can just lock in and play basketball now that we've got the regular season starting. So give me the Nuggets at -2.5 playing at home. They've got the Thunder playing at elevation here, so that should help a little bit. In terms of the total of 225.5, I'm leaning maybe just a little bit here towards the under, but not really an over-under spot that I'm in love with. In terms of some props for this game, guys, I like Chet Holmgren over 1.5 3-pointers made at +145. That seems like a very good price to me. They're going to need him to take some threes. He's not going to be scoring on the interior against Jokic. That seems pretty wild to me, so I think he'll want to draw Jokic away from the basket, and if he gets up 3 or 4 threes, the idea of him making a couple of them seems pretty reasonable, and at +145, that's a very good price. On the other side, guys, Jamal Murray over 2.5 3-pointers made at even odds. I think that's reasonable as well. I do, he's going to be defended by some tough defenders, so that makes that one a little bit questionable for me, but at even odds, and we've got a guy that's going to shoot, a lot of shots and a lot of threes. I think that's pretty reasonable stuff out there. And guys, I like Brown here under 9.5 points at -120. He is not somebody that is much of a scorer. He has weird spurts. We could see him knock down a couple threes and get over this number, but I'm just not expecting very good stuff from him, and I'm not expecting good stuff from him in this matchup either. It doesn't seem like a spot where he'll really thrive. So yeah, Brown under 9.5 seems good. And also, guys, I like Russell Westbrook here over 8.5 points at -125. They're going to have him come in off the bench like a dude with his hair on fire. That's the Russell Westbrook way. He's going to be able to get to the rack here. I don't think he's going to have too much trouble finishing over somebody like Chet Holmgren, although Holmgren may not even be in the game when Westbrook's out there. So we'll see how that goes. He could end up with some very clear passes to the basket. Oh, and Westbrook's going to shoot a couple threes probably. If he knocks down one of those, that makes this number very, very achievable. Give me Westbrook here over 8.5 points. Up next, guys, we got our last NBA game of the night. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves going on the road here to take on the Sacramento Kings. The Timberwolves have to be pretty nervous with how things looked in game one of their season, guys. Taking the tough loss there against the Lakers. They did make things close late in the game. They got it within 4 or something like that, but yeah, not a great showing. Rudy Gobert looking terrible on defense has to have them really questioning whether they traded away the right guy. Hearing lots of chatter out there that maybe they should have gotten rid of Rudy instead of Karl Anthony Towns. Probably wasn't too much of a market there for Rudy Gobert, so that would probably have something to do with it. But we saw new acquisitions, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, both have a little bit of trouble settling in. Randle's numbers look okay, but if you actually watch the game, not a lot of that came in the flow of the offense, and just didn't love what I saw. I mean, he had 4 assists out there. Like, it seems weird to be talking bad about a guy that put up decent numbers in this game, but it just didn't feel great when he was out there. And Anthony Edwards had the weirdest game, guys. He shot 13 threes in that game. He went 10 of 25 from the field. He only shot 3 free throws in the game, which I do think he deserved a couple more out there, but not a ton. And honestly, it was just kind of a weird night. He scored 27 points, so congratulations on that, but you did not get the win. So yeah, guys, we'll see what we get from these guys out there in this one, but yeah, it was a weird first game, a weird opener to the season for the Timberwolves. I mean, we saw, DiVincenzo really have a rough time shooting the ball. 2 of 8 from 3, 3 of 11 from the field in general. He had a turnover out there, felt like he had more, ended up with a couple steals, a few rebounds. I'm expecting him to settle in and look very good here for the Timberwolves eventually, but I just think with so many changes for this team, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Gobert actually put up decent numbers, but also posted a -10 plus-minus. Mike Conley had a terrible game, 0-5 from 3, 1-7 from the field, a -22 out there. This is a team that's much better than this. I expect them to bounce back a little bit. I mean, we saw Naz Reid do some positive things, but also some negative things. Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming off the bench looked very good. Maybe he should be getting a little bit more run. So we'll see how all this works. A lot of moving parts still for the Timberwolves as they try and, get things put together in here and see how everything's going to work down the stretch this season. But a lot to fix there after game one, and they're going to be taking on a rough opponent in this game, guys. They're going on the road to take on the Sacramento Kings, who are looking for something of a bounce-back season after not having the end of the year that they really expected last year. De'Aaron Fox comes into the year healthy, one of the fastest, most dangerous guys out there on the court. I'm expecting big things from him this season, no doubt about that. I hope the shot can continue to get better and better. This is one of he's a dude that can get to the hole all the time. Anytime he wants, he's got the speed to go by anyone. So time to add a jump shot to that. Continue to add a jump shot. I'm not saying his three-pointer was terrible last year. It certainly was not, and I'm expecting it to get off to a good start here. And Kevin Huerter out there, he's somebody that has a lot to prove this season. Had a bit of a down year last year, so we'll see how things go for him. But definitely every chance is going to be given to him to bounce back and prove that he deserves to be in the starting lineup, and it can be a very dangerous scorer once again. And the big acquisition, or the big change for Sacramento in the offseason, was going out and getting DeMar DeRozan, bringing in an absolute assassin of a scorer there in DeRozan, a mid-range god. I'm expecting big stuff from DeRozan here, both in this game really and just in this season in general. I know he's getting a little bit older. He's definitely a veteran presence out there, but I'm expecting big things from him. We've seen no drop off. He was a pro out there in Chicago doing everything he could, had some very good seasons out there. He's a big time clutch minutes player, so having 2 of the best clutch players from the last couple of seasons in Fox and DeRozan out there definitely makes me think the Kings are going to be a dangerous team in any close game down the stretch. So we'll see how that duo can work out. I'm expecting good things for sure. I'm also expecting good things from Keegan Murray here as he continues to mature and continues to show that he is an ultra elite shooter out there, guys. This dude can shoot the lights out. He's becoming a better and better defender. Loved what we saw from Keegan Murray last year, pretty much all season long. He did have he got a little bit banged up at the end of the year, and things maybe went a little bit south at times, but really, guys, you could depend on his shooting all the time. He looked very good, and he's got the team around him that is going to generate some open shots for him, and part of that is going to come from Domantas Sabonis, one of the premier big men in the league. I think he is constantly underrated. Great passer, great defender. He can score the ball. That outside shot does look pretty clunky. We'll see how many threes they've really got him taking this year, but yeah, I'm expecting great stuff from Sabonis to continue. The dude is a monster on the boards. He's a guy you can pencil in for a double-double. He's going to have a few triple-doubles this season, no doubt about that. I'm pretty high here on Domantas Sabonis, no doubt about that. And this Kings team has a good amount of depth. I mean, when you're bringing Malik Monk and Trey Lyles off the bench, Malik Monk might be one of the most talented scorers in the NBA just in general. So one of the most lethal sixth men of the year. He's going to be finishing games much of the time. Much of the time. Maybe not all the time, but the vast majority of the time, you're going to see Malik Monk in there at the end of games, and he is going to be a monster. So up and down the lineup, guys, the Kings are looking pretty dangerous to me. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the odds makers agree. They've got the Kings as 1.5 point favorites. We've got an over-under of 27.5. Guys, I like the Sacramento Kings at home. I did not like what I saw from the Timberwolves in game one. They're a very talented squad. They need to find out how to play together. Gobert in there definitely worries me. Is he going to be able to do anything meaningful here against the Kings, who can just spread them out and pick them apart? I think we could see, very easily see Gobert getting benched in this game, and we'll see how that goes. That's going to be quite the saga, but I'm expecting big stuff here from the Sacramento Kings in this game. I think the addition of DeRozan's going to work out pretty seamlessly, and they've got lethal shooting on this roster. So give me the Kings here as small favorites at home, and in terms of this over-under of 227.5, guys, I think this is a very solid over spot as well. It turns out the Timberwolves want to shoot more threes. The Kings never stopped wanting to shoot threes. I think we're going to see plenty of points in this game, easily getting us to around the 230 to 240 mark in total points. So the over looks like a very solid play in this game to me as well. In terms of some player props, guys, I like Malik Monk, like I was talking about, guys, one of the most lethal scorers out there. Over 13.5 points in this game at -105. I love that spot for Monk, guys. There's some tough defenders over there for the Timberwolves, don't get me wrong, but not going to be a match for Malik Monk. We saw guys like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves scoring baskets against these Timberwolves defenders. I think we're going to see Malik Monk have a great game. I know I was just talking bad about Rudy Gobert, but taking him over 12.5 rebounds in this game makes a ton of sense to me. Even at -125, there's going to be a ton of shots going up in this game. We'll see how many of them go in. We'll see how many of them Rudy Gobert rebounds, but I am expecting him to grab plenty of boards in this game. And guys, on that same kind of look there, I think Julius Randle over 7.5 rebounds at -130 is also a pretty reasonable spot. I obviously wouldn't take both of these props. I would take one or the other of these rebounding props, but I do like them both. I think there's going to be plenty of rebounds to be had out there against the Kings, and just in general, I'm expecting plenty of misses here in the early season, and that gives you more chances for rebounds. And speaking of shooting, guys, I like De'Aaron Fox over 2.5 three-pointers made. The dude's going to put up a few, guys. The dude's going to put up a few. I'm expecting him to make at least 3 of them. I don't think that's too crazy. He's probably going to shoot 7 or 8, so making 3 isn't too big of an ask. I think that's going to be pretty reasonable, and for a guy with that kind of crazy speed, you're going to get plenty of space on those shots. So expecting good shooting from Fox. I'm also expecting good shooting here from Malik Monk. Monk over 1.5 three-pointers made at even odds. That seems crazy to me. That one's very likely to go in the pinned comment, guys. It's one of my favorite props that I've gone over. Yeah, at even odds, that seems fantastic to me. Monk, lights out shooter. Obviously, he's a guy that likes to get to the rim and finish, but I think here in the early goings, I don't think he's going to be wanting to take too many crazy risks at the rim. So go ahead and give me Monk here to put up enough threes to easily get to a couple of them made. Jumping in with our first ever sportsbook ad, guys, and I am super excited to tell you about Bet Openly. They are unlike any regular sportsbook out there. Their whole goal is to facilitate peer-to-peer betting, so instead of them having a vested interest in you winning or losing your bet, they just want to match you up with a real person who wants the opposite side. At Bet Openly, you will be paying drastically reduced juice on your bets, close to 1% instead of the 10% you would pay at any of the big guys. Not having to fight that built-in house edge sounds pretty great to me. Bet Openly supports all your favorite bets, including props and parlays, and get this, guys, you can even be the house on parlays, meaning you only need a single leg to win to cash your bet. Most importantly, Bet Openly will never limit your account for being a consistent winner, which is something that happens all the time on the bigger sites. If you're interested in signing up, click the referral link in the description of this video and let's cash some bets. Now, guys, back to the games. Now, guys, switching gears here a little bit, we are going to hop over to the NFL and take a look at Thursday Night Football. We've got the Minnesota Vikings going on the road here to take on the Los Angeles Rams. The Vikings come into this game fresh off of their first loss of the season. They fell 31-29 against the Lions in a very close, very hotly contested game. Minnesota made a solid comeback there in the fourth quarter, but the Lions' late field goal there put it away for Detroit. So, yeah, the Vikings taking the loss there. Sam Darnold had a pretty good game, a little little bit concerning to see him get picked off once and sacked 4 times, but he completed 22 of 27 passes and threw a touchdown, so definitely not a terrible game there by Sam Darnold, but not amazing, not amazing. He should take his fair share of the blame here for this loss, but generally speaking, not exactly the top tier stuff that we've been seeing from Sam Darnold so far this season. In terms of the Vikings running game, Aaron Jones, another monster day out there, 14 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown. He's having a little bit of a renaissance here with the Vikings, and yeah, this guy, I didn't necessarily think he would have a great season to start off the year, and not very many people thought the Vikings were going to have such a good season, but Aaron Jones has been a big part of that success, and I am expecting him to continue to run the ball hard tonight. I mean, it's going to be another situation. I mean, the Vikings are a team that wants to establish the run. I'm expecting Aaron Jones to get plenty of chances to do that, and they've got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, maybe the best in Justin Jefferson. He had 7 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown last week. He is one of the most talented pass catchers in the NFL. He just continues to put up a very, very good number. So loving what we're seeing there. On the defensive side, we did not love what we saw from the Vikings last week, guys. Very few answers there against Jared Goff and the whole passing game. Very few answers against the running game. Goff completed 22 of 25 passes for 2 touchdowns and was sacked 4 times, so that's nice. The Vikings stay bringing that pressure. That's something they're going to keep doing, but man, they got to figure something out here against the run. That's the concern here, is that maybe that's the blueprint to beat the Vikings, because Jahmyr Gibbs put up 116 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 15 carries last week. The Vikings have to address that, and they've got to address that in this matchup, because the Rams are a team there with a very solid running back that love to establish the run. So we'll see how things go there. Obviously, the Vikings did struggle a little bit against the passing game there. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions on 8 targets for 112 yards and a touchdown. So lots of things to clean up for Minnesota on defense. Obviously, the Lions are a tough team to face, but yeah, the Rams, they've got some pieces too. We did see the Vikings get 1 turnover in the game, so that's something, but yeah, not a banner day for this Vikings defense, which has been pretty good, generally speaking, this season. I mean, overall, guys, they're 6th in the NFL in points allowed, so yeah, not a bad defense necessarily, just seemed like kind of a bad day against a very, very tough opponent, although they haven't found a ton of success on defense when going up against tough opponents, which is probably their best defensive day against a decent opponent, coming in a blowout win over the Houston Texans. So we'll give them credit for that one, but overall, I haven't necessarily loved what I've seen from the Vikings defense when they're playing against good teams. In terms of the Minnesota injury report, guys, the offense comes in this game fully healthy, and with how good they've looked basically at every level this season, kind of feels like a cheat code here, being at 100% 8 weeks into the season. On defense, the Vikings are looking fairly healthy as well. Blake Cashman going to be out for this game with his toe issue, so they're going to be missing 1 linebacker, but overall, this team seems to be in very, very good shape in terms of the injury report, guys, and they're going to need to be in good shape here, taking on a desperate Rams team that's coming off a win last week against the Raiders, guys, but at only 2-4 on the season, the Rams have a lot of work to do out there. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the cleanest win, but the Rams haven't had the cleanest season, to be honest, guys. They have dealt with a plethora of injuries. Last week, we saw Stafford have a rough time out there, 14 of 23, 154 yards. He was picked off once and sacked once. The impetus behind this win was a ton of mistakes there for the Raiders, but Kyren Williams, 21 carries, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was the big, determining factor there for the Rams. Their defense played really well, don't get me wrong. Not a lot of dudes standing out in the passing game, but with a decimated wide receiver room, that has made things a lot tougher there for Matthew Stafford, who could be in for a weird game, guys. He's going to face a lot of pressure there from the Vikings. So will he thrive under that pressure? I'm a little bit concerned, because this Rams offensive line has not been the best. Definitely a situation to keep an eye on heading into this game. But while they haven't been very good in pass blocking, they've been a lot better in run blocking. Kyren Williams having a great season and coming off of a great game. So we'll see how that works. The big news here for the Rams offense is that they're going to get healthy. On defense, though, guys, I mean, last week they had a great time, albeit against the Raiders. 3 interceptions, 2 sacks. They did give up a lot to the running game, which is obviously a concern here going up against a team like the Vikings. But they did a decent job in passing defense. They generated a total of 4 turnovers in the game, which obviously you win a game by 1 score and you had 4 turnovers. I'm going to go ahead and give a lot of the credit for that win to the turnover. So yeah, the Rams coming into this game, not maybe playing amazing, but the big news is that the offense is headed in the right direction in terms of the injury report, guys. Yeah, we got the offense here bringing back Cooper Kupp. He's going to be ready to go. No injury designation for him for this game. We also have Puka Nacua listed as questionable for this one. There's a very reasonable chance he still plays in this game. He might not. We don't know for sure. Obviously, it puts him in a great position to be at least back for, week 9, but a very reasonable chance, apparently, according to all the reports that I'm seeing, that he plays here in week 8. So you immediately give Stafford 2 great weapons. All of a sudden, this passing game looks completely different and way, way better. Stafford, if he has, quick outlets there to guys like Kupp and Nakua, all of a sudden, the pressure that the Vikings might be able to bring seems a lot less daunting. So we'll see how that works. Obviously, a great sign for the Rams here getting healthy. The offensive line is a big concern. While it looks healthy, but those are not the guys they were hoping that would be starting, on the offensive line, at least not this early in the season. So we'll see how things look on offense. Obviously, they're looking better. On defense, the Rams are going to be without Troy Reeder, who, he's going to be out with his hamstring issue, and Braden Fisk is dealing with a back problem. He did practice on Wednesday, so it seems like he's going to be ready to go, but overall, guys, this Rams defense has not really been amazing this season. Obviously, they're coming off a good time last week, but some of that was a gift, just due to bad play by their opponent. Over the course of the year, they're 25th in the NFL in points against, giving up 25.7 points per game. We haven't seen them have a great time defensively against good teams, but we only really saw them get lit up once, and that was by the Arizona Cardinals in one of the weirdest games in recent memory. So we'll see how things go there. In terms of the weather report for this game, obviously it's being played in a dome at SoFi Stadium, so no real considerations here. Both teams very, very used to playing indoors, and that's probably their preference. In terms of trends here, guys, we got the Vikings. They're 5-1 against the spread and 4-2 this year to the under. The hapless Rams, who have been so banged up, are 1-5 against the spread and 3-3 to the over/under. Guys, the Rams' offensive line is really bad, somewhere around 31st in pass blocking, and while Stafford can do well under pressure, it's getting to be a little much. And even with cutback, I'm worried that Stafford might get killed out there with the Vikings always bringing this pressure. The Rams have 0 good corners, so who really is going to slow down Jefferson? Public road favorites, guys, are 61% against the spread of the last 2 seasons. Pros, they're going to be on the Rams because maybe the Lions figured out how to attack the Vikings defense by running the ball, and the Rams can for sure run the ball. If Puka Nacua is confirmed back, then we really have to consider taking the Rams here, especially if he gets to +3.5. But guys, I'm not messing around too much. I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings here at -3. This could get a little bit sketchy, but there are enough trends here pointing towards the road, favorites to get the job done. I'm expecting the Vikings to bounce back here a little bit and get the job done against a Rams team that really just doesn't have the defense here to make this work. And even if they do end up with Kupp and Nakua back, they're going to be a little bit rusty. And Stafford, guys, he's getting banged up. I just have a lot of question marks. The Rams might be able to run the ball here. That would be the problem if, we end up facing a problem in this game. And in terms of the over-under here, guys, of 48 or 48.5, I'm leaning here a little bit towards the under, to be honest. I just don't, both teams want to run the ball. That makes me lean a little bit towards the under. Is the under a play that I'm interested in this game? Guys, I'm going to be honest, not really one that I'm super high on. So yeah, in terms of the side, I do like the Vikings here a decent amount. In terms of the over-under, I'm leaning a bit towards the under, but it's not my favorite spot. Now, guys, let's hop over and take a look at some player props. I don't have a ton of them for this game, but first up, I like both quarterbacks to take an interception here. Darnold, he's had his problems this year. He threw an interception in the last game. I think there's a decent chance he makes at least one mistake out there in this one. And at -115, I think that's a pretty reasonable price. Do I think this is a lock to happen since they're going to be running the ball a decent amount? Not necessarily. I don't think the Vikings are going to spend a lot of time in this game in desperation mode, so I don't think we're going to see him having to try and fit it into really tight places. And Darnold, guys, he's somebody that has to make sure he limits the mistakes. He's not quite a game manager mode kind of quarterback, but close to that designation. And on the other side, guys, Stafford at 1+ interception at -105, I think that's a very reasonable spot. Even with his better receivers out there, guys, they're going to be a little bit rusty. I do think there's a good chance that the Rams are going to have to be in desperation mode and at different points in this game. So I think we could certainly see there be, a mistake or two by Stafford, or maybe even situations he just has to throw the ball up for grabs. So give me Stafford to get an interception, get picked off once in this game at -105. And in terms of the running game, guys, I think that's going to be key in this one. I like Aaron Jones at 70+ rushing yards in this game at -105. They're not going to go away from the running game, guys, and I don't really think the Rams can stop it. 70 yards is something that Aaron Jones has been knocking off with regularity this season. So at -105, I think that is a very, very reasonable spot. Might be my favorite prop in this game. And guys, sticking with the theme there of running props, I like Kyron Williams under 69.5 rushing yards at plus 110. I know that seems crazy because he's done so good running the ball, but I think we are very likely to see the Rams get down early in this game, and I don't think they'll be able to run the ball as much as they would like. So that's kind of my lean on this one. Is it one of my favorite spots? Not necessarily, but I do think the logic behind it is sound. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.